Good morning. It's Friday. I want to apologize. Apparently, in some other dimension, there was some sort of split bet that was placed on me having sex. And in one dimension, I was a military officer in a foreign country that was exonerated for war crimes. In the other context, well, to be honest with you, I haven't opened up the case details because that involved somebody I did not have sex with. And I think what happened is the person I did not have sex with was expecting me to figure out and maintain some sort of praxis of this systematology and eventually have sex with him, and then he would be able to acquire whatever was a part of that split bet for himself, while the other person, well, the thing is, I didn't sleep with the second guy. And in between, there was this other guy that I contend was actually trying to recruit me into acts of espionage in complete violation of who he said he was, while I had a need to report on and receive assistance with stopping acts of terrorism that were happening both domestically and internationally. It happened to be during a election season, so other things were prioritized. But the point is, I didn't sleep with the second guy, and I believe what happened is he abused his access in order to lean on the first guy I did sleep with. Now we're at this situation where apparently there's been 25 years of misrepresentation of who I was. And despite me saying, excuse me, my identity got stolen, excuse me, there are some very, very concerning matters relating to the way you're trying to engage me in this situation that do not literally apply to what's happening right here. Well, to this day, nobody's actually spoken to me about this. And apparently, again, it intersects with a foreign court of jurisdiction regarding countries who have never even provided me with an official representative of their country with whom to speak, and yet are availed of my actual work, my actual life, and by the way, the actual lives and works of my entire family and other members of communities with whom I used to be engaged. Now, if you're someone who, for whatever reason, felt you had a need to engage in a secret legal proceeding and decided to characterize me in a manner that would cast me in a role as being someone upon whom you could hurl charges, then please understand, as I do, if I'm correct, that began very, very long time ago, at least for people our age, right? And so in that time, it's very well possible that were you not slandering me, I could have graduated law school. I could have even potentially been elected to state's attorney or attorney general or appointed to the role of a prosecutor. I could well have run in an election for which I have plenty of campaign information and been elected a judge. Or I might have received an appointment myself. I might have agreed to participate in an international tribunal. I might not have after I read some of the criticisms and had for myself a contemplation I had just the other night. So, for instance, when Justice Jackson from the United States agreed to serve on an international tribunal that included people who were identified as being representatives of the Soviet Union and were allowed to be accorded the full faith and credit, as well as honor and esteem of the Soviet Union on equal footing with him during the trial of Nuremberg, did his colleagues have a legitimate claim to say that the fact that he agreed to participate and put himself on equal footing with them might be an imputable act, or at least provide a significant challenge in consideration of verdicts he rendered later, especially ones where he cited his experience at Nuremberg as a justification for the particular kind of opinion he put on the record and in the legacy of jurisprudence within the United States. See, I had no context for which to consider that specific matter until just the last week. And that's kind of where I am right now, especially since I understand, like it or not, that now I am, at least according to Federal Reserve policy, and at least according to the historical praxis of mintage and coinage laws in the United States. I'm the Jew now. And some things happened where I am expected to provide gold. And my concern is more about, well, do we actually have legitimate underwriting when it comes to the bonds? And if we're talking about issuing certificates to back the coinage, including the gold coinage, will they hold up over time? Or are we going to be in a situation where we're going to have to engage acts of slander and defamation, including in manners that can proliferate and impact our international relationships with other people who wouldn't consent to performing as the Jew in the coinage scheme we have in connection with others internationally that are very, very interested to participate in the same way? They might object. They may even go on the record during a congressional hearing objecting, which has happened in history. Did you know that? It has. American history. It's actually happened in American history. So even if there were an agreement, and certain people who were qualified made the agreement to do that, would it actually be legal tender? Because now we're in a situation where someone wants to say, well, we also now have a means by which to legitimize non-legal tender. I see. You know, these are very serious concerns, and I'm taking them with the full profundity they entail, which means now I'm confronted with an understanding that articles I wrote in 2015 that were published happen now, as it appears, to correlate with verdicts that were rendered or decisions that were rendered in cases in international courts of law. Nobody told me. And the thing is, they're absolutely 100% directly relevant to a case that was announced some time ago, but apparently has actually begun its legal proceedings now. I'm very concerned. I did actually try to engage legal process in my own country, representing myself pro se, and also as what was first the interim attorney general and then the attorney general of Texas, in a process I understood was actually constitutionally valid in the context of constitutional law within the state of Texas. Now, however, after attempting to appeal that to the federal jurisdiction, appeal that effort to the federal jurisdiction after grotesque abuses of the Constitution by those in the judicial branch of government in Texas, I've been subjected to another situation where my actual legitimate legal needs have not been attended to as part of what appears now to be a pre-existing agreement at my utter dehumanization. Well, I'm not dehumanized, just so you know. I don't see myself that way at all. But this might be a good time for people to reevaluate what they think they're going to get away with. And if that sounds too severe, then I'm really going to need some actual modeling of what you expect to be the response under the circumstances. Are we clear now? Yes, as I said, I do not consider this appropriate for some sort of derivative maritime law claim. That's apparently not the appropriate jurisdiction anyway, is it? No, it's not.